Welcome back to Great Day Connecticut. It's time for Great Day food. Outrageously cheesy and ultra creamy. Today we are making the ultimate comfort food.
Yes. Chef Plum is showing us by request how to make an easy homemade mac and cheese. Thank you, Chef. Thank you, thank you.
Hello.
I love my mac and cheese. And there's so many recipes out there. My grandmother used to make a great one, and then I found out that one of the tricks, even though she made everything soup to nuts, it had Velveeta cheese in it. So I was like looking for a different one.
Velveeta works for sure. Kayla, nice to see you. Kara, nice to see you, of course, as well. Friends, mac and cheese is one of those things that in my house we make a lot because my kids love it. And you know, I have teenagers, much like you do, Kara, and now one of my teenagers is vegetarian. That's a new thing that just happened.
Right.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I gotcha.
So I want to show you how to do this. But we're gonna do it the very classic. We're gonna do this a very classic French way of doing this. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a pan going. I've got some pasta already made up. I'll show you here. I'm using a little bit of shells, because I love the shells. They catch the sauce in those little inside those shells, so it's delicious.
Yep. So it doesn't have to be macaroni for the mac and cheese.
No, any kind of pasta works just fine. So then I'm going to add a little bit of butter to this pan, right? So we're going to make a very traditional roux, R-O-U-X.
Yeah.
What a roux is flour and butter, and it's used to thicken things up, right? Kara, we've made roux on the show before, haven't we?
Yes, and most of the recipes do call for a roux, so I have figured out how to do that. The question is, like, what's going to make it taste the best after, and
That's right. So good point. Great talk. I'll tell you what also, too. So roux can come in different colors. The longer you cook it, the darker the roux gets. The darker the roux, the less thickening power it has, but the more flavor it has inside something. So for instance, if you're making like a great gumbo, you want to use a dark roux. So I've got my butter in the pan here. Right here in my overhead cam, you can see I got the butter going. I'm going to add about a tablespoon or so of flour, just like this.
Okay.
And I'm going to start to mix that flour up. Right in there. Like that. And we're going to mix it with that butter, and it'll start to turn like, almost like a Play-Doh looking in the pan is what we're looking for here.
Okay.
So once we've got that mixed up in there, beautiful. This is the hard part. This is the cooking part right here. We're almost there. So what we're making actually right now is a classic French sauce called a bechamel, right? Mm-hmm. Which is going to be a dairy-based, roux-thickened sauce. So check that out. You can see how we got that starting to form. Can you see that in the pan there? How it's starting to kind of form into like a little broken Play-Doh, I guess.
Kind of looks like leftover scrambled eggs.
But you're cooking the flour out, right? You're kind of like making sure that it doesn't taste like flour, right?
Exactly. You want to give it a little bit of time to cook. It doesn't need a lot of time to cook. You want to give it, a minute and a half, 2 minutes or so. That's all it really takes to cook that flour out of there. So we're about ready right here. So now I'm going to add a little bit of this regular milk to it, right?
Regular,
pour that milk in there, and then you pour the milk in there. You want to be a little careful because that milk can break, so you just want to kind of pour it in a steady stream right in there. I'm going to pour about a cup or so in here, and then as we mix this and as that milk heats up, what happens is that roux starts to dissolve into it, right? So even if you have those clumps, that will start to dissolve in there. So as we mix this in and let that kind of heat up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking a little bit of this. This is just a little cheddar cheese I have here, okay? What I'm going to do is I don't like to use those bag cheeses, and you can use them, but those bag cheeses that are already shredded tend to have a little cornstarch on the shred so they don't stick to each other.
Right.
And that's not going to be great for your sauce. What was that?
Oh, I've always used the shredded. Okay. So a little bit better if we grate. If we're being quick, it's okay to use the bag cheese?
Yeah, of course. My wife does too. I'm not going to lie, I do this well too, but if you're showing the proper way to do it, just grate a little cheese. I mean, literally, look how long that took.
How much do you need?
Right, so just grate the cheese. So now we're going to give us a little mix around here. So one of the things that I do that adds a lot of flavor to this is we want to add a nice healthy pinch of salt to it, right? Then we're going to add about a teaspoon of garlic powder, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Don't get crazy with it, but just like a teaspoon of it right in there. And give it a little mix around. And we're doing all this before we put any cheese in there. So we get it nice and mixed in, and now I'm going to add the cheese to it. Once we put the cheese in there, are you ready? We're going to get really fancy. This is now called a Mornay sauce.
Mornay?
So you go from a Mornay, yep. So you go from a bechamel to a Mornay. We'll mix around there. And you'll start to get that beautiful color in there, that beautiful yellow from the cheddar cheese. You can use any cheese you want here. You want to get fancy with it. You want to throw some pepper jack in there, go for it. You want to throw a little Gruyere in there, go for it. That's delicious too. And look at this. This is beautiful. We're just about there on the sauce. So now I'm going to add a little black pepper. And no mayonnaise this time, I promise.
I know. We're a little bit finicky. We're like your kids with that. Wait, can I just ask you, it looks like you used whole milk. Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. The higher fat milk, the more creamy it's going to be. But yeah, you can use whatever you want. 2% milk, skim milk, I like whole milk because that's what we have in our house. So that's what I use. This is the great thing about this recipe is most of these things you generally already have in your house. You don't have to go buy a bunch of extra stuff.
So last 30
So now I'm
seconds,
going to
you
pour my
add the
pasta right in there. Just like this. And we'll start to mix that up. Macaroni, penne, you name it, you can mix it in here. You want to get really fancy, serve it with some fettuccine or spaghetti. You can twirl it up onto a fork and it looks really fancy on a plate. Other thing you can do with this is once you get to this point, you can see how that sauce starts to coat. I'll show you up close for a second. Look how that sauce kind of coats that pasta like that, right?
So good.
That's what we're looking for there. That's delicious. You want to put this onto a bowl and top it with some bacon. Sounds unbelievable. You want to put this into one of those big baking dishes and put a little bit of extra cheese on there and some breadcrumbs. Great idea. Then you can do a nice baked mac and cheese. Or if you're in a hurry, you can serve it just like this. This stuff is unbelievable. It's super easy and homemade.
Thank you, Chef.
Chef Plum, thank you so much. I'm going to make that at home.
You guys are the best.
Yeah, why not?
You're the best. Thanks, Chef Plum.
Thank you. And you can follow Chef Plum for all of his greatness on social media and listen to his Seasons podcast. And we'll have that on our social pages. You can have the recipe.